what is the American dream? As you know it, or as you understand it, what does that mean? I'm really asking. I'm the Canadian rabbi, remember. What is the American dream? There's this idea that people who come to the United States, and in fact people who were born here, are pursuing the American dream, and I'm curious what that is. Depending on who you ask, the American dream has to do with prosperity or wealth or abundance. The idea that here you can have a lot of money, a lot of success, a lot of stuff. There's also an idea that the United States is the best, and that people all over the world should want to replicate what is here and should want to be here. For me, I like maybe the traditional understanding of the American dream: a dog, a yard, 2.5 kids, a white picket fence. It's a nice idea. And there are many people, immigrants as well as citizens who were born here, for whom that is the goal: the fence, the dog. But I think that if we were to do a poll today, if we were to ask folks what their goals are, what they want from their life in this country, the white picket fence wouldn't be what we hear most. As an immigrant, I know that everyone comes here for many different reasons. Some out of desperation, some out of obligation, maybe to try something new. Some come from circumstances that gave them no choice. Some, like me, come to open a specific door that didn't exist back home. I never thought I'd move to the United States. And when I arrived in 2017, I certainly thought I never thought I would still be here. I came because there are no rabbinical schools in Canada. And so when I realized I was going to be a rabbi, I knew that that path would take me through the US. Mine is an immigrant story, just like so many others. It's different than others in some ways. It's similar to others in many ways. But everyone has their own story. I didn't come chasing, the American dream. I came because this is where the training happens for the work I want to be doing. Then I fell in love with Ilana. Then we fell in love with this community, and here we are. There's no 2.5 kids, no white picket fence. I'm still working on the dog thing with Ilana, but I'll report back. But my story is just one of many. Most immigrants don't come for fantasy or for the sitcom, lifestyle or the Hollywood sort of description. They, or we, come hoping to find dignity, security, and safety. These are things we shouldn't have to dream about. These are concepts, they're gifts, they're basic rights that every human being deserves. But we look around today and we know that's not the reality. We're living in a time when too many people are looking for reasons not to offer respect and dignity. Too many people are using status, paperwork, and politics to remove the humanity from others. This isn't only happening here in our backyard, but all around the world. And when the world and its leaders withhold what people need, the people are forced to dream about what should already be theirs. And I'm wondering if this is true for Joseph in the Parsha this week as well. As we know from the Torah reading this morning and from the musical, Joseph is loathed by his 11 brothers. We understand them to be jealous that their father Yaakov favors him. And Joseph, not blameless in the reading of the Torah, would report all the things his brothers did wrong to their dad. Vayave Yosef et dibatam ra'ah, all those missteps, any mistake, he'd run to Yaakov and report. Famously, Joseph dreams 2 dreams at the beginning of our Parsha. In the first, his brothers' sheaves seem to bow down to his. In the second, it's the sun, the moon, and stars that bow down to Joseph. Joseph tells his brothers about his dreams, and it does not go well. Their hatred for him increases, as it says, Vayosifu od sano oto. They hated him even more. And it just goes downhill from there. Now, I've always read Joseph as a bratty teenager, maybe a little spoiled, a little entitled, can do no wrong. So historically, I've read the brothers' reaction and kind of, yeah, like, what did you expect? But this year it feels different. Maybe I'm more patient. Or maybe I'm convinced by the Sforno's commentary. When Joseph shares his dream and the Torah says his brothers hate him for it, the Sforno comments that it was a mistake to tell his brothers. In other words, not arrogance, not an intentional sibling sort of nudge, like only a sibling can do, but an error in judgment by Joseph. In a radically different reading than our traditional understanding, the Sforno suggests that rather than trying to brag, Joseph was going to his brothers for help. Shim'u na, he says, listen to this, please. Tell me what you think it means. And this is where the shift happens for me. What if Joseph isn't dreaming of dominance? What if his dreams are simply a representation of his unmet needs? Look at Joseph's life. One of the youngest of 13, trying to be taken seriously in the family, but constantly diminished, dismissed, somehow both ignored and the center of ridicule. Of course, he dreams of being seen, of being noticed and respected by the people around him. Maybe his dreams aren't about power, but about wanting to matter, wanting to know that he's safe, seen, and valued. Simple and basic needs that he's missing. I'm not usually one to analyze my dreams. When I remember them, maybe I'll think about them and share on occasion, but then I move on. But last week, I had my third deportation dream, or nightmare. They've all been similar. I leave the house, I go somewhere like to buy groceries or something, I get stopped or pulled over and arrested, never for any reason. Because it's a dream, I get the lens of seeing how my wife and daughter react. From wondering what's taking me so long to worry, to panic, and finally learning that I've been removed from the country. I'm painfully aware that my nightmare as I sleep has become the lived reality for hundreds, if not thousands, of our neighbors in recent weeks and months. American citizens, green card holders, residents, visitors, all with different stories and journeys, but for all of whom respect, stability, and the promise of being treated as human have become nothing but dreams. There's an important conversation to be had about the immigration system in this country. It's actually long overdue. And the conversation needs to be honest. It needs to address the number of people who are coming to the United States without legal status, and it needs to ask why the system leaves so many with no better option. The system, in order to be compassionate, needs clear rules and functional processes. And as an immigrant, I have seen and experienced some parts of the system that work well, and the many things that are broken as well. We're obviously living in a particularly fraught and dangerous moment, but this isn't a conversation about politics or about political affiliation. It's simply a Jewish values statement. The Torah doesn't tell us to love American citizens as ourselves. Jewish tradition doesn't instruct us to care for the stranger, the orphan, and the widow once you've checked their papers. Not even the harshest biblical curses threaten detainment without a phone call or being deported to a place you've never been to. If even our most severe texts never imagine taking someone from their home and sending them away, then that tells us something about what our tradition would say about this moment, and it teaches us something about the Torah's values. The Torah's dream is that no person should have to dream for humanity or respect. That no person should have their worth called into question or be pushed to the margins by those meant to protect them. Joseph dreamed because his family failed him. And the lesson of Parshat Vayeshev is simple. We have to ask ourselves, whose dreams are we willing to honor? Whose basic unmet needs are we willing to step up and advocate for? There's much work to do. On behalf of immigrants left to dream by a society that has failed them, on behalf of all, on behalf of each person who seeks respect, safety, and the opportunity to realize success and freedom, we need to rededicate ourselves to the Torah's values of dignity and justice, not as aspirations, but as daily commitments. We need to find the courage to name our own dreams, to say out loud what our unmet needs are. And we need to find the strength to listen when others do the same. We can yet build a world where people don't have to dream of dignity and safety, but one in which those are freely given. A world that upholds American values and Torah teachings. This isn't for one day, this isn't for out there, this isn't for some time, but now, today, here. We need to do this for the people right in front of us who need it most. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue with Musaf on page 155, and then go into the Amidah on 156b.